Welcome to Sports Law Media on YouTube. It's your guy, Sports Law, broadcasting live from the Veterans Memorial Park in Huntsville, Alabama. Today's live stream is the top 25 college football picks from my perspective. This will be for Week 9, and the games in question are from October 21st through 27th of 2024. In this stream, we will look at who is ranked where from the Associated Press poll. We will look at who the top 25 teams will match up against. We will also look at what the pros say the point spread or margin of victory is for the winning team. We will also look at the over-under, which is the total points the pros think that both teams in question will score within the game. If I agree or disagree with the pros, I will do the best I can to explain my reasoning. After we do this process for the AP poll top 25, we will go into a segment called Game of Intrigue. This game of intrigue will be unique in several ways. One is that neither team will be ranked within the top 25. I will try to find things that relate the teams to each other, sports related or not. After this, just like in the top 25 games, I will go over what the pros think will be the margin of victory as well as the over-under. I will do the best I can to explain my reasoning. Note, the Associated Press poll, top 25 poll, is the poll used to talk about the top 25 teams. I do know there are other polls used to determine championships and whatnot. We will not be using them as part of this discussion. The AP poll has been around the longest, so let's look at who's in the AP poll top 25. Can y'all hear me out there in YouTube land? Okay, can y'all hear me? Okay, so in the AP poll top 25 this week, we have Oregon, number 1, Georgia, number 2, Penn State, number 3, Ohio State, number 4, Texas, number 5, number 6 is Miami and Florida, number 7 is Tennessee, number 8 is LSU, number 9 is Clemson, number 10 is Iowa State, number 11 is BYU, number 12, Notre Dame, number 13, Indiana, number 14, Texas A&M, number 15, Alabama, number 16, Kansas State, number 17, Boise State, number 18, Ole Miss, number 19, Pittsburgh, number 20, Illinois, number 21, Missouri, number 22, Southern Methodist University or SMU, number 23, Army, number 24, Navy, number 25, Vanderbilt. All right, for the top 25 matchups, you have one game that will take place on October 24th, which will be number 19, Pittsburgh versus Syracuse. On October 25th, you'll have one game, which is number 17, Boise State versus the University of Nevada in Las Vegas, or UNLV. All the rest of the games, including the game of intrigue, will all take place on October 26th. And then on the 26th, you have number 4, Ohio State versus Nebraska, number 12, Notre Dame versus number 24, Navy, number 13, Indiana versus Washington, number 18, Ole Miss versus Oklahoma, number 1, Oregon versus number 20, Illinois, number 11, Brigham Young University or BYU versus the University of Central Florida, otherwise known as UCF. Number 15, Alabama versus number 21, Missouri. Number 5, Texas versus number 25, Vanderbilt. Number 6, Miami and Florida versus Florida State. Number 3, Penn State versus Wisconsin. Number 8, LSU versus number 14, Texas A&M. Number 16, Kansas State versus Kansas. Number 22, Southern Methodist University or SMU versus Duke. Number 2, Georgia. Number 7, Tennessee. Number 9, Clemson. Number 10, Iowa State, and number 23, Army are idle this week, meaning there are no games scheduled this week, and it's commonly called a bye week. And later on in the broadcast, I will get into the game of intrigue. Thank you for joining me, Popcorn VR. Thank you, Cine Auto, Cameron. I appreciate that. I hope you too have a great day. Hello to Afroza. No, it's okay about it being your cat, Popcorn. And hello to everyone who has joined me on this live stream. I just went over who the top 25 AP poll is, and I've just gone over who the top 25 matchups are. Later on, I'll go over who my game of intrigue is. But now, let's actually get to the fun part that you joined me for. And yeah, now for the fun part. First game we're going to look at this week is number 19, Pittsburgh versus Syracuse, which is to take place October 24th of 2024. The pros favor Pittsburgh to win by 6 points over Syracuse. The over-under is 61.5 or 62. Pittsburgh has won all of their games so far this season. Out of their 6 wins, they have 3 struggle wins. Syracuse has lost 1 game and also had 3 of their wins turn out to be struggle wins. Syracuse has 2 wins against top 25 college football teams, which is unusual. They do so great in basketball and are not really known for winning games in football, but so it is. I believe this will be a close game. For these reasons, I'm going to agree with the pros. Pittsburgh wins this game by 6 points. I will go over the 62. Pittsburgh has better run game than Syracuse. Both the offense and defense for both teams are average, so not much to say there. I'll stand by my original thoughts. Pittsburgh wins by 6 points, and I'll go over the 62. And yes, the Ducks are even making their objections known. So, there we go. Next game we'll cover today is number 17, Boise State versus the University of Nevada in Las Vegas. This game is to take place on October 25th of 2024. The pros think Boise State will win this game by 2.5 or 3 points over UNLV. The over-under is 65.5 or 66. Boise State has decent offense, especially in the passing game. Their run game is below average, especially when inside the red zone. UNLV plays very good football for 3 quarters of the game, each and every game. The fourth quarter is usually flat on both offense and defense. This game will be closer than the pros think, so I agree that Boise State wins, but I disagree on the margin of victory. Boise State wins the game by 1. I'm going under on the 66. All of the other games that we'll be talking about today will all be taking place on Saturday, October 26th of 2024. So with that, the next game we're going to look at is number 4, Ohio State versus Nebraska. In this game, Ohio State is favored by the pros to defeat Nebraska by 25.5 or 26 points. The over-under is 48.5 or 49. Ohio State has been dominating opponents in weak conferences. The only loss has been to Oregon. Oregon has been the only tough opponent Ohio State has played so far this year. Ohio State is out for blood and wants to avenge the loss. Nebraska has 2 losses, but those 2 losses are the top 25 ranked teams. Nebraska is doing better this year than in recent years. I do not think Nebraska will do well against Ohio State. For these reasons, I'm going to agree with the pros on the fact that Ohio State will win the game by 26 points. I'm going over the 49. Over the 49. I believe both teams will score a lot of points. Next game we're going to look at is number 12, Notre Dame versus number 24, Navy. In this game, the pros favor Notre Dame to win this game by 12.5 or 13 points over Navy. The over-under is 52.5 or 53. Notre Dame, with the exception of getting surprised and losing to Northern Illinois, an unranked team 16-14, has dominated most of their winning games. 2 of their wins have been top 25 ranked teams. For Notre Dame, both offense and defense are above average. Navy is having a stellar year so far and defeating their opponents by sizable margin and are undefeated to this point in the season. I think Navy is playing better than there is credit to be given. Notre Dame has been overconfident to the point of being cocky. The cockiness might come back to bite them in the butt. For these reasons, I am going to completely disagree with the pros on this game. I'm picking Navy to win this game by 3 points as an underdog to Notre Dame, and I'm going over the 53 since both teams are capable of scoring points. Next game we're going to look at today is Indiana versus Washington. The pros favor Indiana to win this game by 6.5 or 7 points over Washington. The over-under is 52.5 or 53. Indiana is off to its best start in college football since 1967, being with 7 wins and 0 losses to this point. Every game they have played so far has led to dominant wins. Indiana is not really known for being this good at football. Both the offense and defense is stellar, and it seems no one can stop them. Washington is looking like an average team, at first being nearly even on wins and losses. 2 of the losses were by less than 6 points, which is really nothing to sneeze at. Washington does have one top 25 win under their belt this season. Washington plays with mediocrity and is a gamble style of play. Sometimes they win, others they lose. When I say mediocrity, I mean a good run game, below average passing game, and terrible defense. This style of play for Washington looks to continue this week. Indiana will score quickly and make it hard for Washington in their fight to recover. It won't be enough for Washington to win, but I think it will be a closer game than most think. I agree with the pros Indiana wins, but I disagree on the margin of victory. My prediction, Indiana wins this game by 4. I will go over the 53. Next game we're going to look at today is number 18, Ole Miss versus Oklahoma. In this game, Ole Miss is favored to beat Oklahoma by 20.5 or 21 points, according to the pros. The over-under is 48.5 or 49. The 2 losses Ole Miss has been by 3 points or less, so it's a matter of footing and who had the football at the end of the game. All the games won by Ole Miss, they dominated their opponents and won by decent margins. On offense, they run the ball very well. On passing, it is above average, and offensively as a whole is above average. Defense is average, but if outside the Southeastern Conference, would be way above average. This style of play will lead to good things within the Southeastern Conference in football. Oklahoma started the season on good foot, but has fallen flat in recent days. Offense started off good, but as season has gone on, has gotten terrible to the point to where it downright sucks. The offense had gotten so bad, the offensive coordinator they had was fired due to poor performance this past week. Honestly, I think that was a good decision for Oklahoma. For Oklahoma, this week will be rough until they get new guy for offensive coordinator. When they do it, it might take some time to adjust to the new style and system of how they coach things. For these reasons, I'm going to agree with the pros on this game. Ole Miss wins this game by 21 points. The only saving grace for Oklahoma will be the above-average special teams, but even then, that won't be enough to win the game, and I'm going over the 49. Next game we're going to look at this week, is number 1, Oregon versus number 20, Illinois. Oregon started off the season overrated. I do give them props for defeating number 2 in the country, Ohio State. Outside of that, they haven't had really any tough teams to play. This week, they play Illinois. Don't underestimate Illinois. They look better than most give them credit for. Oregon is starting to look like maybe they were not overrated. If they defeat Illinois, then I'll drop all thoughts of them being overrated. Oregon does have talented players on both sides of the ball, on offense and defense. Illinois is that annoying gnat that won't go away no matter what you do. Illinois has played 4 games already to top 25 ranked teams this season and has won 3 of them. This by itself is impressive. The only issues is that those previous wins I talk about have been what is called struggle wins. Again, don't underestimate Illinois, because despite not being favored to win, they will sneak up on you and challenge any team to make it a good battle. Do I think this one will reflect the battle I speak of? No, I do not. Since Oregon is much better on paper than Illinois, with these thoughts, I agree with the fact that the pros have on this game. Oregon is favored to win by the pros to defeat Illinois by 21.5 or 22 points. Again, I agree with the pros. Oregon wins by 22 over Illinois. The over-under is 54.5 or 55. I will go over the 55 points. Oregon will dominate, and we'll win this one. Sorry. Next game we're going to look at today is number 11, Brigham Young University, or BYU, versus UCF, commonly known as University of Central Florida. And yes, the Ducks are still objecting to my calls. UCF started off good by winning the first 3 games, including one, which was a struggle win, but sometimes it's not clicking because they have lost 4 games in a row. UCF is normally a better overall football team. The saving grace is in these losses, it has been a low-scoring affair in those losses, which signal to me good defense. Offensively, here lately, they can't get anything going. Offense can get them down the field, but when they get in the red zone, the offense, nicely put, just sucks. They need to find a way to get out of this rut, but I'm not seeing it happen for UCF in this game. BYU had a struggle win last week over Oklahoma State. A win is a win no matter how easy or how hard it is. BYU is playing some of the best football I've seen them play in quite some time. BYU must have had something good in their water because they keep winning games, including ones not expected to win. BYU has notable win versus then number 13 Kansas State. I do believe this game will be close due to both teams having a good run game. In this game, the pros favor BYU to win by 2 points over UCF. The over-under is 55.5 or 56. For the previous reasons I mentioned, I agree with the pros on this one. BYU will win by 2 points over UCF. I will go under the 56. Next game that we're going to look at is one that some are wondering what's going to come of it. But it's number 15, Alabama, versus number 21, Missouri. The pros favor Alabama to defeat Missouri by 13.5 or 14 points. The over-under is 55.5 or 56. So, Alabama this year has had a bad case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde complex. They have adequate talent to win every game they play, but for whatever reason, they are eking by on struggle wins and losing to teams they really should not be. The team dynamic started good, but now not so much. It's like night and day. The Alabama team is in funk I haven't seen in quite some time, and it can be hard to come out of the twilight zone that they seem to be in. Missouri, for the most part, has not beaten Alabama in a long while. In fact, the last time Missouri defeated Alabama in football was September 8th of 1975. That game, Missouri won 20-7 over Alabama at the Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm not sure what to think of this game this year. Any other year, I would say surely Alabama would go in to win. This year, not so much. Missouri is better this year than in recent years. Alabama has no team dynamics. This might come to bite me, but it's okay if it does, due to how terrible Alabama has been playing recently. For this game, I'm going against the odds and against the pros. Missouri will win this game as underdogs by 7. That's my prediction. Yes, you heard that right. I'm calling Missouri to beat Alabama by 7. I will go under the 56 because I don't know if both teams are going to score a lot of points in this game. Next game we're going to look at is number 5, Texas, versus number 25, Vanderbilt. The pros favor Texas to defeat Vanderbilt by 18.5 or 19 points. The over-under is 53.5 or 54. Texas is out for blood to avenge their loss last week to Georgia. Outside of last week, Texas has been dominating in offense by scoring big-time points, and on defense by not allowing them to score much. Texas is going to bounce back, and Vanderbilt is not going to know what hit them. Vanderbilt has even record for struggles. In the games they have won have been struggle wins. The losses they have, we also could say is struggle, but not in a good way. Vanderbilt, for most part, is unpredictable in the style they play. This usually bodes well for teams that play like this. Vanderbilt, despite this, will have a hard time keeping up with Texas. For the reasons I just mentioned, I agree with the pros on Vanderbilt losing to Texas. I disagree on the margin of victory. My prediction, Texas defeats Vandy by 14 points. I'll go over the 54. Next game we will look at is number 6, Miami in Florida versus Florida State. In this game, the pros favor Miami and Florida to defeat Florida State by 21 points. The over-under is 54.5 or 55 points. Florida State historically has been the powerful group of bad guys no one wanted to mess with. Shredder was their leader. Bebop and Rocksteady were the players and could defeat anyone they came up against except the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The evil villain, Shredder, with his henchmen, always made it hard for the Ninja Turtles. Sometimes they, the evildoers, would win, other times not. In this game, Miami and Florida represents the Ninja Turtles. They alone won't help, but with Master Splinter assisting the Turtles, this game will go sideways quick. Florida State is absolutely terrible this year in football on all aspects of play for offense, defense, and special teams. The hot seat for the coach of Florida State is the hottest I have seen for a hot seat to be over the last few years. Florida State has to find a way to close the gaps and start playing chess and anticipate your opponent's next 2 to 3 moves if they wish to have a chance to win this game. Miami and Florida will come out with guns blazing and kicking butt and taking names. For these reasons, I will agree with the pros on this one. Miami and Florida will win this game by 21 points over Florida State. I will go over the 55. The next game we're going to look at today is number 3, Penn State versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin, when not playing top 25 ranked teams, has fared well in the margin of victory, especially within their conference. The losses Wisconsin have both been to teams ranked within the top 25. For the most part, Wisconsin's a pretty good team. Penn State, on the other hand, has been stellar. Penn State has very tough schedule overall. The margin of victory has been in the average range, but considering the toughness of their schedule, one would put it as above average, even with a couple of struggle wins. I think this game will be a close game, and I don't call overtime games often, but I do believe it's possible for this game to come to that with Penn State and Wisconsin. Let's see. With the thoughts I have there, I agree with the pros on this one. Penn State wins the game by 4 to Wisconsin with high likelihood of being settled in overtime. I'm going to mention the pros believe that Penn State believes the victory will be by 6.5 or 7. I agree on the 7. The over-under is 47.5 or 48, and I'm going over the 48. I still think this game will go to overtime between Penn State and Wisconsin. It just seems too close to really call for any comfort whatsoever. Next game we're going to look at today is number 8, LSU versus number 14, Texas A&M. The pros favor Texas A&M to win this game by 2.5 or 3 points over LSU. The over-under is 53.5 or 54. LSU, or as some call them LS Who, started off season losing the opening game, but have bounced back since then, winning 6 in a row. LSU usually has stellar defense, but lately that has dropped just a little, so we will still call it above average. Offensively, they run the ball very good. Their passing game is average. Texas A&M is average on all fronts on offense and defense. The only advantage I see is their special teams. Historically, that group has done magical things and performed Houdini-style tricks. Don't underestimate Texas A&M. They do have a few aces up their sleeve. I believe this game will be a very close game. Both teams are very capable of winning. For these reasons, I'm going to agree with the pros on the margin of victory being 3 points. I disagree on who the pro state will win this game. My prediction, LSU, as a 3-point underdog, wins this game over Texas A&M. I'll go over the 54. The next game we're going to look at today is number 16, Kansas State versus Kansas. This game is a good rivalry game known as the Sunflower Showdown. The pros favor Kansas State to defeat Kansas by 10.5 or 11 points. The over-under is 55.5 or 56. Kansas State does have 2 noteworthy wins over ranked top 25 teams. Kansas State plays slightly below average offense, above average in special teams and on defense. Kansas is playing like what is known in their football program. Awful, to put it nicely. The 5 losses happened back-to-back or 5 weeks in a row. Most would say this year Kansas football is terrible this year, and to that I agree to a point. 4 of the losses have been by 5 points or less, so it's not all bad. Nevertheless, losing is not fun. I believe the losing trend continues for Kansas this year. I agree with the pros on this one. Kansas State will defeat Kansas by 11. I'll go over the 56. Kansas, historically, in this matchup, has been the better of the two teams. Kansas, through last year's record, has 64 wins, 52 losses, and 5 ties over Kansas State. So, traditionally, Kansas is the better of the two teams, just not this year. I stand by my original prediction. Kansas State will win by 11 over Kansas. For Kansas, maybe next year on getting a win in this game. The last game we're going to look at today within the top 25 is number 22, Southern Methodist University versus Duke, or SMU versus Duke. The pros favor SMU to defeat Duke by 11.5 or 12 points. The over-under is 48.5 or 49. SMU has won most of their games. The only loss was losing by 3 to Brigham Young University. They do have notable win over then number 22 Louisville. SMU has good team cohesion and works together well on all sides of the ball. Sometimes it seems that in the fourth quarter they run on fumes in the gas tank, but with the exception of the BYU game, that philosophy has actually worked. That running on fumes doesn't work well for lots of teams, but it does bode well, usually, for SMU very well. That might be the one thing that could come to be a problem for SMU. Duke is winning games for most part, but despite running full throttle, the wins have not been easy. Struggle wins galore for Duke. Duke has been doing better the last few years compared to normal football for them. Duke will struggle in this one, and it will not end well with them. With these thoughts, I agree with the pros for SMU winning this game, but I disagree on the margin of victory. My prediction, SMU defeats Duke by 9 points. I will go over the 46. Number 2, Georgia. Number 7, Tennessee. Number 9, Clemson. Number 10, Iowa State. And number 23 are idle this week, meaning no game scheduled for them. It's commonly called a bye week. Now that we've looked at the top 25 matchups and looked at who the pros will think will win with the margin of victory as well as the over-under, it's time for the segment that I like to call Game of Intrigue. In this Game of Intrigue, we will go through the same process as we did for the top 5 matchups. But before we do the normal process, things to make note of in this: neither team is ranked in the top 25. We will look to find things related to both schools, sports related or not. After this, then go through the normal process like we did in top 25 matchups. For the Game of Intrigue this week, it will be Fresno State versus San Jose State. Again, both of these teams are not even ranked in the top 25. Both teams are from the state of California. Both teams are in the Mountain West Conference. Both of these teams have at least 2 losses so far this season. Both schools have a strong emphasis on business. Both schools also became universities in the 1970s. In this Game of Intrigue, Fresno State is favored by the pros to win this game over San Jose State by 4.5 or 5 points. The over-under is 55.5 or 56. Fresno State has noteworthy wins over both main universities in the state of New Mexico, that being the wins against the teams New Mexico and New Mexico State. Fresno State has average stats on offense, but looks better in the pass game versus their run game. Defensively, it looks stagnant. The exception is red zone defense. Red zone defense is going to be what helps Fresno State to win this one. San Jose State is almost even with Fresno State on both sides of the ball. The thing that is causing issues with San Jose State is interceptions. Despite a high number of interceptions, they still are winning most games. I see this interception thing being a problem for San Jose State. For the reasons I mentioned, I will agree with the pros on this one. Fresno State wins the game by 5 over San Jose State, and I'm going to go over the 56. Now that we have gone in depth with the top 25 matchups and the Game of Intrigue, let's summarize things by looking at, again, who is in the Associated Press top 25, as well as who the top 25 matchups are, and then again about the Game of Intrigue. So with that, your AP poll this week: number 1, Oregon; number 2, Georgia; number 3, Penn State; number 4, Ohio State; number 5, Texas; number 6, Miami and Florida; number 7, Tennessee; number 8, LSU; number 9, Clemson; number 10, Iowa State; number 11, Brigham Young University; number 12, Notre Dame; number 13, Indiana; number 14, Texas A&M; number 15, Alabama; number 16, Kansas State; number 17, Boise State; number 18, Ole Miss; number 19, Pittsburgh; number 20, Illinois; number 21, Missouri; number 22, SMU; number 23, Army; number 24, Navy; number 25, Vanderbilt. Okay, now for a summary again of who's playing in the top 25 matchups. Number 19, Pittsburgh versus Syracuse on October 24th. Number 17, Boise State versus the University of Nevada in Las Vegas on October 25th. All remaining games I'm fixing to mention will take place on October 26th. You have number 4, Ohio State versus Nebraska. Number 12, Notre Dame versus number 24, Navy. Number 13, Indiana versus Washington. Number 18, Ole Miss versus Oklahoma. Number 1, Oregon versus number 20, Illinois. Number 11, Brigham Young University or BYU versus the University of Central Florida or UCF. Number 15, Alabama versus number 21, Missouri. Number 5, Texas versus number 25, Vanderbilt. Number 6, Miami and Florida versus Florida State. Number 3, Penn State versus Wisconsin. Number 8, LSU versus number 14, Texas A&M. Number 16, Kansas State versus Kansas. Number 22, Southern Methodist University or SMU versus Duke. Again, number 2, Georgia. Number 7, Tennessee. Number 9, Clemson. Number 10, Iowa State. Number 23, Army are idle this week, meaning there are no games scheduled this week, and they're going to have a bye week, so they'll have a week off to recover from whatever they may need. Also, our game of intrigue that we've discussed today is Fresno State versus San Jose State. So, anyway, with that summary of the AP poll top 25, the top 25 matchups in the game of intrigue, does anybody have any questions or comments that they'd like to share regarding what I just went over? Anybody? Well, I guess if there's no comments, thank you again for joining me, Sports Live Media. I'm on YouTube, and I'm broadcasting live on location from the Veterans Memorial Park in Huntsville, Alabama. I thank you very much for tuning in to this broadcast today. Just a word of note, these live streams regarding college football top 25 picks will be going on each and every week during college football season, and they will take place either on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday within the said week of college football games, and that all depends on whether or not there's early games during the week. Also, in the top 25 poll, we use the Associated Press poll, the one that's been around the longest, as our means for getting the top 25. And I do understand there are other polls that come out that determine championships and whatnot, but we will not be using those. We will be using just the Associated Press poll. So anyway, with this information, thank you again for tuning into this live stream on Sports Live Media on YouTube. I greatly appreciate it. If you will, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the notification bell so you can be made aware when I'm doing these live streams with my college football picks, when I have sports education videos, when I have sports action videos, when I'm broadcasting live, or when I have breaking news in the sports world. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, X, at BobAmin16. That is at BobAmin16 on Twitter. And to find me on YouTube, all you have to do is one of two things. Go to www.youtube.com, the slash symbol, the at symbol, SPORTSLOV. Or you can go to the YouTube search tab and type in Bob Amin, BOBAMIN in the search tab, and you can find me there because you'll know it's me because I have Sports Live Media burned into a basketball as my avatar So anyway, thanks again for each and every one of you joining into this broadcast today. I hope y'all all have a wonderful day. I will do this again next week. Thanks and have a wonderful day.